Hello everybody and welcome to the very first episode of Legion of Gloom. This is a brand new wrestling podcast brought to you by myself, Patrick, and I'm going to be joined by Michael in a minute. We're going to talk about various aspects of the wrestling industry, from classic shows to characters you all know and love, and some ideas of our own. You can follow us on Twitter at LOG Podcast, on Facebook at Legion of Gloom Podcast, and you can search for us on SoundCloud, Legion of Gloom Podcast, and you'll find all our stuff. At the minute, we don't have anything to plug, so we're just going to get straight into our first episode. This first episode, we go over a famous pay-per-view, Capital Carnage 1998, live from the London Arena by the WWF, and you can hear that show right now.
Upside his head. Can you believe that Austin just broke the end of that shovel right off of the Undertaker's face? Right off of the Undertaker's face. In the London Arena. Mick Foley fighting for everything in his being. We got a new hardcore champion! A new hardcore champion!
Capital Carnage 1998, December 6th, 98, just before Christmas, at the London Arena. Capital Carnage, that's how they started all the Attitude Era videos, it felt like. Every now and then, you got something a wee bit extra for being a dedicated WWF fan in the Attitude Era. You got 2 pay-per-views a year, if you were lucky. Started off with Mayhem in Manchester.
That's right.
Capital Carnage.
Yeah.
Rebellion.
Yeah.
Insurrection.
Don't forget that.
That was all, wasn't it? We had one night only.
We had one night only. And we had SummerSlam, of course, in
92.
92.
So that was what we got. We got a pay-per-view on a Saturday night that we weren't really used to getting, because normally you get all these pay-per-views every month, but you had to stay up till 1 a.m. to start watching it, 4 a.m. to finish watching it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I wasn't allowed to stay up when I was 10, 11 years old to watch.
I was the same. I mean, over the years, we're lifelong WWE, WWF wrestling fans, and we have become accustomed to staying up to 1 a.m. or 12 a.m. to watch a pay-per-view. But as you said, when you were a kid, you weren't really allowed to stay up and watch anything. You're lucky if you got to watch Raw. It was a Friday night for our listeners beyond the UK and Ireland. So having our UK and Ireland only pay-per-view was a real treat. It was a family gathering occasion when everyone could huddle around the TV at 7 p.m. to watch WWE wrestling.
Yeah, because I was in a sort of cycle where when the pay-per-views aired, I wasn't allowed to stay up, so the next morning I would get up like 2 hours early before school and watch the entire pay-per-view on fast forward just so that no one could spoil it for me at school the next day.
No spoilers.
So no one could spoil Capital Carnage because you're actually watching it live, so it felt special.
Yeah.
But what we didn't realise when we were 10, 11 years old is we were getting a glorified house show.
Oh, absolutely. And it has to be said, Capital Carnage was definitely a glorified house show, but I think it gets overlooked, especially by the American audience, how important Capital Carnage was for WWE's relationship with the UK, European, Irish fans. It definitely was a house show. As we get into the show in a moment, there's a lot of fuck finishes. We were cheated out of stuff. We became accustomed to know there will never be a title change and stuff in the UK house shows. But I think the WWE's house show, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, Capital Carnage, it definitely built a new relationship with the UK audience. There was always UK fans. Earlier in that year, we had Mike Tyson and the Steve Austin stuff, which got massive publicity here in the UK. But in the UK and Ireland, there was always this perception of wrestling that was a homophobic sport. People had excessive knowledge of UK wrestlers like Giant Haystacks and Big Daddy and even Hulk Hogan and stuff. And this is WWE's way of saying, we're here, we're in a new era, we've got a new cast of characters. It's almost a bit of a freak show. We're cutting edge, we're must-see TV.
It's one of those things that I used to hate as a fan, like growing up when I was a teenager, when I used to take it a bit more seriously. When anytime you would mention wrestling to someone of a certain generation, they would always mention Giant Haystacks.
Yeah.
And you're going, that fat fucker, you ruined wrestling for a whole generation. And people just think that it was just this so uncool. It was in smoky bingo rooms and grannies at ringside, the stunt grannies with a loaded
purse. That's what I was going to say, yeah.
And I've been to shows, don't get me wrong, I've been to shows with a stunt granny, and they were terrible. And some smaller shows obviously haven't grown out of that. But this was a way of reaching a massive audience and showing the mainstream
Yeah.
that wrestling wasn't that anymore. Wrestling had, for lack of a better word, attitude.
Yeah.
Finally.
Oh.
And wrestling was cool.
Between Capital Carnage was just before Christmas. I think there was Rock Bottom maybe a week after, if I remember right. But between Capital Carnage and Royal Rumble 1999, I went from having no wrestling fan friends whatsoever. By the day after they aired Royal Rumble 1999, everyone that I knew was saying 4 words: Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And it was just so weird that all these people that were, it was usually football.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about football a lot, I think, in a minute because of Vinnie Jones, but it was all football in my school. And then suddenly one day, wrestling was the be-all end-all, and I was suddenly, everybody wanted to come to my house and watch tapes.
Yeah.
And I was like...
I had a similar experience. I was a bit of a loner in school, maybe a bit of a geek, a bit of a nerd, but I was a massive wrestling tape collector. I taped everything, every Raw, every pay-per-view, and, you know, I became a wrestling fan in 1996, 1997, really got into it huge in 1998, but everything prior to those dates I was trying to get off maybe older people that I knew, friends of my parents and stuff. And after Capital Carnage, every Monday after pay-per-view, I had a list of who I had to lend those tapes to.
But, Capital Carnage wasn't the first one. Mayhem in Manchester was the first one. Did I ever tell you my theory on how they named these shows?
How?
I reckon Vince McMahon came on Monday and they told him, we're going to the UK. I reckon he hated going there for a start. We'll get into that later as well. But I reckon he came in and he said, I want to call it Anarchy in the UK. Anarchy in the UK, damn it. And somebody went, no, we can't call it that. So they just whooped out a thesaurus and they found similar names. So instead of Anarchy in the UK, you got Mayhem in Manchester.
Yeah.
Mayhem in Manchester. I love it. You got Carnage in the Capital. That's what it would have been called.
Yeah.
But someone stepped in. Then we got other words that were similar. Rebellion, insurrection.
Yeah.
All other words for anarchy in my eyes. But if we get a gist of what was going on around this time as well, as we said, it takes place between Survivor Series 98 and Royal Rumble 99. Rock Bottom was in there in the middle too, obviously. We'll try and get a bit of background before each match, but honestly, because it is a UK pay-per-view, there's not a lot of background to go into. Most of the matches are just there, but we'll do our best. The major main event storyline was Austin, Undertaker, Kane.
Yeah.
Doing a sort of unholy alliance kind of thing, where Kane was teamed up with Austin because they both hated The Undertaker so much. And that the episode of Raw before this was on a Friday night. One of those weird Friday Raws. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When they used to be on a different day. So, the start of Raw, he just came out raging. The ICP and the Headbangers were supposed to have a match. Austin came on, stunned everybody.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Saved us from having to watch the Headbangers and the Insane Clown Posse. He went looking for The Undertaker, but somehow ended up getting himself locked in a freezer.
Yeah.
Taking Stone Cold name too literally, maybe. But this was one of those show-long stories that they used to do back then that they don't really do anymore.
Yeah.
You could argue that they did it recently with Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman, but not to the same kind of level as this. This had layers, this had twists every 10 minutes on the show, and it really kept you interested. First, Austin was looking for Undertaker, then he was in a freezer, then Undertaker was taking out Kane and putting him in a body bag, then Austin was out of the freezer with a shovel, then somebody was going in an ambulance, then Paul Bearer was going down a manhole. So, how did it all happen?
I always remember at this time as well, like even during the matches were just filling the gap between the storyline. I remember JR used to talk about Stone Cold during every match.
Yeah. We'll go through sort of the title holders at the time as well. You're talking, who was world champion? The Rock was world champion. He just won the Survivor Series tournament when they sort of rehashed Survivor Series 97. Screwed Mankind over, and he was the corporate champion. Mankind had just been awarded the hardcore title, so that was brand new. And nobody really knew if that was going to be a real title or if that was going to be something that Mankind just had.
I hated the hardcore title when it was first introduced. I hated weapons matches.
Really?
I really did.
I was a sucker for anything that was like violent. I was such a violent child.
I was a traditionalist. I just like one-on-one or tag team. But Capital Carnage, we haven't even talked about some of the important details of Capital Carnage. I had the very first Fatal 4-Way.
Very first? Are we sure of that? Did we figure that out?
I think so. I think JR said during the match, the very first.
I think everything else was a 4-way dance, wasn't it, before that?
Yeah, before that. The term was
one of
coined.
the worst names for a match type. What were some of your other ones there?
I think it was The Rock's first pay-per-view title defense.
It would have been. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he defended the title before this at all, but this is definitely his first pay-per-view title defense. JR had his second bout of cerebral palsy during the show.
That's right. Yeah, I had that noted here as well. I wanted to talk about that because I was trying to find out more about this online, and all I could find was that it happened during the event. It was brought on because his mother had died days before.
Okay.
He had to travel to the UK. The stress of it all brought on a second Bell's palsy attack during the pay-per-view. And I found conflicting reports about which match it happened during. Most seemed to point towards the Legion of Doom draws headbangers match. But I was listening, I was watching, and it was sort of distracting me during the match because I was trying to figure out where it happens.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find a definite moment where it happens during the show. And at the end of the show, he's still going bananas. You wouldn't have a clue that he had a palsy attack. I don't know. Did you notice his voice change during the show?
His tone of voice doesn't really change during the show whatsoever. However, King and JR do appear on camera quite a bit throughout the show. A lot. And they don't really look concerned or anything, but I think the expression on JR's face definitely changes through the event. The King looks a bit uncomfortable on camera at times.
Maybe that's because he never wore a t-shirt under his shirt. He was always topless under his jacket.
Good old JR, he powered through.
There's nothing stopping JR. I mean, as we speak, he's in hospital with broken ribs, bruised ribs, because
Yeah, that's right. From the
a guardrail fell on him in New Japan, and he finished that show as well. He's a trooper.
Yeah.
Like, say what you want about maybe his commentary isn't as great now as it used to be, whatever, but I still think he's the best.
He's definitely
Best commentator there's ever been, like.
Best commentator ever of our generation, absolutely. He's the voice of my childhood.
And in my opinion, on this show as well, we hear one of maybe the worst commentators, but we'll get to that later. But at this time as well, I wanted to touch on there are no British, Irish, Welsh, European wrestlers on the show at all.
Whatsoever.
None. Not that I know of, unless I'm wrong here, and if so, cutting it out. William Regal was scheduled to be on the show,
Yeah.
but got let go just before it. He was supposed to place X-Pac. That's why they had to shuffle his whole card around.
Okay.
So he showed up in no condition to perform during one of his bad boy times.
Okay.
So, I don't know, if I was given the man's gimmick, I think maybe I'd be on something too.
Yeah, if I was a real man's man, I think I'd be on the drink. And
But how do you think the crowd would have reacted to William Regal at this time? Because the attitude of your crowds were unpredictable, to say the least. X-Pac was a massive babyface.
X-Pac was over like Rover, I think. I don't think Regal would have been accepted the way he would be now in front of European crowds. That real man's man gimmick, it was a gimmick. It was a bit of a joke. I remember the vignettes before he debuted with this gimmick, and I remember just laughing at it, and it's so silly. And I think they let Regal down quite a bit with that gimmick. Maybe it was punishment for being involved with WCW. I don't know.
But the British Bulldog also wasn't here. He's
Yeah.
gone after the Montreal Screwjob.
Mm-hmm.
And not long before this was when he fell on the dodgy trapdoor in WCW. Fucked up his back. So he's gone from WCW as well. So it's not a good time for UK wrestlers at all. God knows where Dynamite Kid is.
You're the British Bulldog. I've got a history in Royal Rumbles, and tonight I'm going to remake history by winning this night's Royal Rumble tonight because I'm bizarre.
I think I could be corrected. I think this was the first nudity in WWE.
I knew you were going to bring that up. That's at the earliest opportunity possible.
Yeah, couldn't wait to watch this again.
Oh, I remember this back in the day. This was one of the most sought after VHS tapes
Oh.
because Jacqueline's titty popped out for 2.5 seconds.
I counted, Patrick. It was actually 5.
5 seconds?
5 seconds
Well.
of nudity on WWE TV. And maybe we'll get into this, but I think maybe, this actually was the end of the Sable-Jacqueline rivalry. But I think maybe WWE at the time were influenced by the Page 3 gears in the UK. As they're in the UK, it's not unusual. Maybe we'll get to that a wee bit later on.
But you think you're on the right track there because, as far as I'm aware, on UK late night TV, you're allowed to show certain bits that you
Yeah.
aren't allowed to show in America, and I think someone told them that, and they just went, you know what? Who's getting their titties out tonight then? Someone's doing it.
Yeah.
And they knew they could get away with it, so they did it. And as a disclaimer, to add to that point, the version I watched was the WWE Network version, the same as you.
Same, I watched
Same
the
as you.
WWE Network version.
Couldn't get my hands on the VHS, it's in my house somewhere.
Same, I've got it in the attic somewhere.
The Tag Classics DVD somewhere else.
Yeah.
So the version we're seeing, I'm not quite sure what was changed, what was taken out, though I am sure that Jacqueline's titties were not in this version that I saw. There was a pixelated version of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you really want that, you're going to have to fish out the old video copy, I think. So, you want to get into the show?
Let's get into the show. Capital Carnage, 1998.
And now, the World Wrestling Federation presents Capital Carnage, exclusively on Sky Box Office.
So, the opening package basically went over Raw, the last episode of Raw. So this is probably the same package that they used on Livewire or whatever that week. I doubt they did a special one for Capital Carnage, except with the Capital Carnage at the London Arena, all that stuff. So my favourite part was Paul Bearer going in the manhole. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered how they did it.
Oh, they had to have a mattress or something on there.
Because it's still a long fall, I would imagine,
Fair play.
underneath.
You know what, Paul Bearer went down head first, no problem, no baller. I wouldn't do that.
He was a big lad too. He would have wiped out the Ninja Turtles down
He's a
there.
big lad. I was stone cold. He's a madman. Putting him down a grating.
They even locked it.
They did.
I'm sure maybe there were camera cuts or whatever, but there was a live audience there
Yeah.
watching them do it. But they locked it. They got the manhole key and everything. Like, so maybe he's just down there, a river of slime hanging out. What else do we see? We see Big Boss Man won the hardcore title from Mick Foley.
Yeah, that's
in the
right.
ladder match just before. But most of the video package was all focused around Big Boss Man, Austin, Undertaker, Kane, Mankind, because they were all going to be involved in the main event. And that was it, basically. So we come, Michael Cole gives us the voiceover, Capital Carnage. It's all London, it's all bits and pieces of London. They're showing us the tower, the bridge and all, and they mention English things 100 times during the show. Anytime they can reference something to do with English history, the UK.
Would you see, I really liked how they did that. I like how they incorporated where they were. It made the event feel more special. I mean, we're Irish, Northern Irish, whatever you want to call us. We're not from England, but it made the event feel more special when I was watching it. And there was like, oh, they're talking about the Tower of London, they're talking about Big Ben, Val Venus talked about, whatever he talked about. It made the event feel more special, and I wish WWE would do that today.
It is one of the things they're missing now, is that those unique sets, because every event felt special, felt different, and you could, every time you mention an event from that era, you almost think of the set when you think about everything else as well.
Yeah.
This one,
What did you think of the Capital Carnage set?
the set, it was a stripped down Raw set, really, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
almost like, you remember in like the video games where you could turn off all the lights
Yeah.
and just have the set? It was almost like that, but I'll tell you what I did like. The lovely blue felt runway.
I love the blue runway. I
Nice
loved
blue
it.
felt.
And at WWE, like the UK shows, I don't know if you noticed, Patrick, of course you noticed, they always had the ring on like a platform. They did that.
Made it feel like it's sort of like they do that in Japanese shows and stuff too. Maybe it was just an international thing that they did. But I'll tell you what I missed. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Ross alongside Jerry the King Lawler. And it was a nice feeling to start off the show. The nostalgia that I got in that instant was just like, oh, here we go. This is going to be a good crack. And of course, as I mentioned, Jerry Law is just there, no top on, and a crown and a suit jacket. He's always ready to get in the ring, even if he's not wanted.
No power to the king.
You want to get into the matches?
Let's get into the matches.
What does everybody want?
So the first match, Gangrel and Al Snow, and they didn't have an issue, as far as I know, leading into this match, did they?
I don't think so. I think it was just one of those matches that was thrown together. And, Patrick, going back and watching, and it's been almost 20 years since I've watched Capital Carnage, and I think back to Gangrel, and, Gangrel is not someone I ever thought of like good technical wrestler or great ring work. And I always kind of looked at him nothing more than an entrance and a pair of fang teeth. But, I really enjoyed the match. There was a lot of counter wrestling in this match. He had a great DVD. I don't think it was his Impaler finishing move, but it was good to go back and revisit a Gangrel match after so many years.
It was funny, like, when you think about Gangrel, the first thing you think about is the entrance.
Oh yeah.
And when you watch this one, he doesn't have it. It's instead of the flames, he's got a few candles.
And a bit of smoke and
a few scented candles. And I suppose that's the cost of travelling internationally,
Yeah.
but he still does the blood spit.
yeah.
So
It's not blood.
We're not shortchanged.
What is it? Acidic. What do they used to call it?
Oh, do you need to
That red acidic liquid.
the plasma.
It's blood, man.
But Al Snow,
Al
as
Snow,
well.
again, over like Rover, something you might hear me say a lot. I forgot how over Al Snow
He's
was.
got all of London chanting for Head.
Yeah.
And I always liked how Head got their own graphic. And it's
Yeah.
Al Snow and Head.
Yeah, but Al Snow, like, he was a big part. And again, maybe the technical wrestling in this match, as I mentioned, you forget that Al Snow was the guy who went on to train all the Tough Enough competitors for years. And in 1998, no one was talking about work rate or great performances so much. It was all character driven and storyline driven. Al Snow, it was a good match. And I think it's a testament to how over Al Snow was in this match. There's interference from Edge and Christian, the Brood. I think it booed when they come out.
I watched this match and I felt like it was only, less than 3 minutes, I think, altogether. And there was nothing wrong with the match. Fine, like you say. But it felt like they were told, right, go out there, you have 3 minutes, including entrances.
Yeah.
It felt like they rushed, because there were a few spots in here where there's a point where Al Snow goes to the leapfrog, and either Gangrel forgets the duck, or Al Snow jumps not high enough. But either way, he gets a head in the bollock. He nearly gets one of Gangrel's fangs in his testicle. But
I always think, I have this thing about the opening match. I have it every pay-per-view I watch to this day. I think the opening match is really important. I think it sets the tone for the night. And although this was a quick match, it was quick, it was exciting, there was interference, all those things that get a bit of a buzz in the building, and I think they did well.
And this is where, like, the UK audience have always had a sort of reputation or whatever, and the first thing you notice during this match, crowd-wise, is the horns. Did you notice the horns?
A lot of horns.
And it's not like the low drone vuvuzelas like the vrrr you heard during like the
hyper.
it's those high pitched, and it's oh Snow or but imagine sitting beside that guy is all I could think.
Yeah,
the guy with the horn.
Kill him.
I had one big issue during this match is that JR says that Gangrel's 29 years old, and we all know vampires are immortal, so that's a lie. But anyway, Al Snow hits like a lovely Northern Light suplex, and that's when Edge and Christian come out, and they appear out of nowhere. I think they came out of the crowd, maybe from under the ring, but the camera shot is set up in a way where they literally just appear.
They just appear. And going back again, maybe I'm a bit more of a wrestling traditionalist, but I like that there's no, like today, every time there's a run-in, you hear Roman Reigns' music comes on, just say runs at 10 metres to the ring. I just like how they just appear.
Well, logically speaking, if you were going to sneak attack someone, you're not going to play your music. You would just appear and hopefully get the better of them. You're not going to start going, all right, here's my tune, get yourself ready. The interference, Christian distracts the referee. Al Snow gets a tornado DDT. Then he gets up, uses head. He manages to get Gangrel with it, but Edge comes in, hits him with a missile drop kick.
Yeah. And see that missile drop kick? When I rewatched the Capital Carnage, it just reminded me of when Edge hit Christopher Nowinski with a drop kick.
Every time I see one, I think the same thing.
He just slid over his nose, and I was like, "Oh my god!" It's surprising, like it was an accident always waiting to happen, because Edge's drop kick, that particular muscle drop kick, looks so sloppy. Go back and watch it. Do yourself a favor. You'll know what I'm talking about. Al Snow was obviously okay, but it looked really nasty to go back and watch. And that move ended Christopher Nowinski's career.
Yeah, that's what set everything off. The whole chain of events that ended his career and sent him on down the road of concussions. So
yeah,
you think of it as quite an innocuous move, a missile dropkick, and should be a safe one to do. But
not when
I don't know. I don't know if we're just looking at it in retrospect because of what happened to Chris Nowinski or whatever. But I thought the exact same thing when I saw him do it in this, almost as a finish. And I was like, that move could have been
could have been the end of Al Snow. It's surprising that when you said Al Snow used head on Gangrel, I'm surprised they never give that a name, like a headshot, or I'm surprised that didn't have its own gimmick, like
Regal's
head with the headbutt, or
the power of the punch.
Yeah, I'm surprised that never caught on and became something else, because Al Snow would use that character in WWE for his
and at the end
for that entire run.
Edge and Christian leave through the crowd, but Gangrel walks to the back on his own. You don't think that was a bit strange?
I do know that you brought it up.
I thought that was really weird. But anyway, the Wrestling Observer gave this a dud.
A dud.
Would you call it a dud?
I thought it was okay. I thought it was grand.
I think maybe he's thinking he can't, if it doesn't get enough time, then it can't develop into anything special.
Maybe
but
so.
Whatever. So Gangrel got the win. The man in the Seinfeld puffy shirt gets the win.
Yeah.
Next, we go backstage, and it's Mick Foley's time. Mick Foley's in the boiler room. Buddy complains that our boiler rooms aren't the same as the boiler rooms in America.
Yeah.
Our boiler rooms are cold. He's
Yeah.
freezing. So we need to make boiler rooms great again, I think.
He's freezing.
He says he's going to stick his frostbitten feet through someone's front teeth, which is typically disgusting from the kind of thing mankind would say. But I love the way he says here, it's no disqualification, there's no room for friendship because I've tried to be friends with everybody. Stone Cold, he stunned me. Kane, he hit me with a sledgehammer. Undertaker, we just don't get along. But then later on, he tries to make friends with everybody in the match.
He does. He does.
But whatever, we'll let him go with
but
that.
I quite like, as we mentioned, it was the first official Fatal 4-Way. There has been 4 corner matches and stuff before, but this was the first time they coined the term Fatal 4-Way, and I like how Mankind's promo, Mick Foley's promo, he brings up there's no DQ and there's no countouts and there's no friendships, and I really liked how he introduced the rules of a Fatal 4-Way match, and he brought up a wee bit of history. It was a short package, a short promo, but I think
he brings up Henry VIII here, and he says that the tourists can go see the Tower of London where people were hanged and beheaded, so he's hyping it up as if it's going to be violence personified. Yeah. So after this we get the LOD 2000. Everything was 2000 back here, if you remember, because 2000 was cool. It was so far in the future. It was only 2 years in the future at this stage, but 2000 just sounded cool. And this is not Animal and Hawk, but Animal and Draws.
Yeah.
Because this is where they were doing the controversial storyline where they were mixing real life.
Yeah.
Where Hawk was dropped from the Legion of Doom because of his alcoholism, his crippling alcoholism, and the implication was that Draws was kind of being his enabler and making sure that he dropped out so he could take his place in the Legion of Doom. But just before this, on Raw, was when they did the really famous moment where Hawk was drunk on top of the Titantron and threatening to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Which is, if you think about that now, ridiculous.
Even the commentary is like, last week on Raw, when Hawk tried to kill himself,
like, it's so blasé. And the way Animal reacts, he's going, don't do it, Hawk, don't jump. It's like, do something else. No. Draws is the one that climbs up. And he's trying to help him down and he ends up falling. And I think you're supposed to kind of be like, did he fall or was he pushed? This is going to be the kind of cliffhanger that we go through, but he's pushed. Like, I don't know if Draws messed it up or what, but he just pushes him. But the thing I love about this is, well, Animal's reaction, one, he's not as concerned as he should be, but they zoom out and the way they show it is like he falls and then you see a shadow of a man go down behind the Titantron.
Yeah.
But it's entirely head first. There would have been no room to flip all the way around and go straight down. But it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon. They do the fall, it goes and then there's a big clang when he hits the ground. And it's so over the top. It's almost comedic.
Yeah.
But they were trying to be serious. Like, I just imagine the sound effect guy waiting for the clang when he hits the ground, waiting for him to go through that Titantron.
At the time, I remember watching at the time and, being hook, line, and sinker, like, oh my god, is he okay? Is he dead? Like, at the time, wrestling wasn't work. Wrestling was life. It was real, and it was must-see TV. But, I think looking back, this works. As we mentioned before, when Capital Carnage aired, it was the first time in my whole family sat down to watch a wrestling event together, even though I was a huge fan. My parents were there, my 3 uncles were there, my little brother was there, my grandparents were there, and looking back at this package, it was WWE again saying to the UK audience, we're cutting edge, we're trying different things, we're dealing with alcoholism, we're dealing with suicide, and these are storylines. Very Jerry Springer-esque, very freak show-esque.
I actually have that in my notes. Later on when we talk about Terry Runnels especially, it's very Jerry Springer, very Ricky Lake.
Yeah. At the time, it's very comedic to go back. But Hawk, God rest him, he's not here anymore.
I think it was I know I've heard people refer to it before, that Vince Russo was obsessed with Howard Stern and that kind of shock humour and shock TV and radio, and you can tell in some of the things he wrote here. But one of the things I was struck by when the LOD 2000 came to the ring was when they come out in the UK, all you think about is that 1982 SummerSlam where they come out in the motorbikes.
Yeah.
And the crowd are insane. It's the reason that they have a thing called the Road Warrior Pop.
Yeah.
That the crowd used to go nuts for them. And the difference here, they couldn't have give a shit who was coming down.
I mean, per draws never really got over the way I think he was intended.
What did you think of him as part of the LOD? Like, did you think that was a good fit? Or was it just sort of like a stopgap? There was more for him? You think he should have been puke?
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, when we think of draws, that's what I think of.
He's gonna puke.
What was that? Beyond the Mat documentary. I kind of like the draws LOD pairing.
I thought he fit in.
I didn't like so much when he started wearing the makeup, but I thought he was a cool guy. I think
he had the look. He had the body size.
Yeah.
He was one of those big bruisers.
Yeah.
I thought he was an alright fit. And I think they did it because Hawk was in no condition to perform, as they always say.
Yeah.
Animal needed a partner.
Okay.
So they thought, you know what, we'll put draws in here, give him a chance.
And Animal's been sort of blighted over the years with these makeshift, you know, I think in the mid-2000s he was paired with Heidenreich. Is that right?
I can't remember.
I think
one of them was
Heidenreich.
Animal or Hawk. Must have been Animal.
Animal and Heidenreich were tag team champions.
That's right, on SmackDown.
Absolutely. So he's been kind of, I think he wasn't a tag team with Tatanka for a while, was he? Am I making
Was
that
that
up?
Matt Hardy?
Might have been Matt Hardy.
But
Per
like,
Animal.
Despite the name of our show, of this show, I've never actually been a huge Road Warriors fan. Even most of it I'm experiencing in retrospect, to be fair. I'm going back and I'm watching old Road Warriors matches in LD. I didn't really love most of it at the time because I can't deny how over they were, how big they were at the time. But there's something I just used to hate watching their matches and seeing them pop up from everything, pop up from DDTs, pop up from pile drivers, anything, and I just hated the no selling. Like, I loved the Steiners.
Yeah.
When they were a team, so I used to have the Steiners over LOD. But this was a big rub for draws.
It definitely
being
was.
allowed to join the LOD, and they must have liked them to let it happen because I'm sure they could have said,
Yeah, and I'm
it's our
sure.
brand. We don't really want him involved.
Yeah.
They were up against the Headbangers.
I think the Headbangers looked really lazy and really sloppy in this match.
See, I don't think the Headbangers ever, like, I had this down as a joke question, like, what's your favourite Headbanger? Because...
Mosh.
Beaver cleavage.
Which one was Chaz?
Mosh, I think.
Yeah, Mosh. Go Mosh.
So, let's go over the match a bit. It's pretty basic. The Headbangers double team draws. Animal comes in and takes out the two of them with no bother by himself.
Yeah.
And in less than 3 minutes, again, it feels like, Draws comes in. He rolls his own partner out of the ring for some reason.
The old double switch.
Gets rolled up and pinned within midgets. Midgets
puns him.
Gets pinned within minutes. Presumably, he was going for like the twin magic killer bees where you swap your partner out, but he doesn't look like him. The killer bees, it worked for them because they were masked. The Bellas look alike.
Yeah.
These two don't look the same, so I'm not sure how it was supposed to work, but it breaks down between the two anyway. They end up having a shovel match against each other, and Animal gets absolutely stuck on them.
It does. It's the best part of the match.
He puts the boots down.
Fantastic.
And the crowd chant for Hawk. Well, he ain't there. Maybe he's off having a few pints.
Hawk is in a local medical facility.
He's in a local rehab facility, I think is where he is.
The storyline. But you know, watching this back, I couldn't help but think Draws reminded me of Enzo Amore.
In what way?
I think just how he's look. I think his in-ring work. I think everything about him. It just reminded me of Enzo, and that's all I could think about.
So stay away from Draws if you're out drinking.
Yeah.
You're a lady. But again, Wrestling Observer rating, I'm going to go by these just so we can compare our thoughts. But again, it was given a dud, which I can't really argue this one.
No,
it was an angle. It wasn't a match, was it?
Yeah. But I think the Headbangers look really sloppy in this match. Watching it back, a short match, but it wasn't a pleasure. It wasn't a pleasure.
I think that's what I always thought about the Headbangers, is that they were quite sloppy. And the one thing I always point to is they did that move where one would put their drape their opponent on the rope and the other would leapfrog and jump, and they would do it with no effort whatsoever. And then you see Shelton Benjamin do it, and he's hitting the roof when he's jumping over with more impact. And the Headbangers didn't seem to give a shit ever.
No.
Also, it made me sick every time they spat in the air and caught it in their mouth.
Yeah, pass. Wasn't a fan of Headbangers.
No, me either. So next, we had an Undertaker promo.
Yeah, Undertaker promo, that's right. And I really like this version.
Paul Bearer is now out of the sewer and has made it all the way to the UK.
Yeah.
Michael Cole asks Undertaker about Stone Cold. Undertaker says, "Are you a religious man, Michael?" And you know that's always going to be something good. So he says basically he's going to take Stone Cold's soul.
Yeah.
And the thing I noticed about this was, one, the stitches in his eye must have been being clattered with a shovel.
Oh, that's right.
Where that came from.
That's right.
But also, the camera's pointing up at him. So either the cameraman was really small, or they wanted him to look big.
Yeah.
But either way, the cameraman's back must be broke, because it's like up the whole time.
I really like this version of The Undertaker, I have to say. Patrick, as you said, are you a religious man? Pray for the soul of Stone Cold. I like this version of Undertaker. He's still the dead man. He's kind of, you know, we get the kind of watered down version now in 2018 where we're kind of just going, please stay away, Undertaker.
He's not tying anybody to any symbols anymore, if you get me.
And I just like this version of Undertaker. He's still dark and mysterious, but he's a human being as well.
I loved it, and I loved how it grew, and I loved how the Ministry of Darkness came out of it, and how he added people, like characters that really fit the bill. Even like somebody like Mabel, he didn't really fit it.
Yeah.
When they like kidnapped him from the Royal Rumble and turned him into Viscera, and it was all good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it was so silly, but it's wrestling.
And it worked.
That's what the best thing about wrestling is, how nonsense it is.
And before it's all said and done, I will put you on display publicly and humiliate you before I turn you loose to the hounds of hell. I can hear them now, baying for your rotting soul. Take a long look, Austin. The end is near.
After Undertaker, you go to another one of those characters that's somehow endured all these years, and it's Goldust. Goldust and Val Venus.
You know, I kind of was a WCW fan before I was a WWF fan. And people don't talk here. And you definitely don't hear on the podcasts or created in the States. But here in the UK and Ireland, it was the Friday Night War, not the Monday Night War of WCW and WWF. And I was kind of a WCW fan. I didn't even know what WCW was. To me, it was just professional wrestling. And here, it's important to say, WCW almost had an upper hand here because Nitro aired after Cartoon Network finished here. Do you remember this?
I remember.
So at 9 p.m. on a Friday night, the Cartoon Network channel became TCM, which is
TNT or whatever.
With Turner Classic Movies. Yeah. And Nitro aired on that. So I think a lot of kids were exposed to WCW through this.
Almost by accident.
And we all knew their cast of characters. We're not breaking new ground here. But you know what? Goldust was one of those WWF characters that I was always aware of. And I think it was the makeup. Kids now, a few years ago, kids loved Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara. And for me, as a kid, Goldust was one of these mysterious painted gold mysteries of the world. And I always think about Goldust.
He was always too weird for me, I think, even as a child. Like, there was something about it. I don't know if it was just, like, every time he came on the screen, my dad would be like, what the fuck is this? Or whether it was actually me. But the Goldust character was always strange to me, but it's only now when I look back and see how groundbreaking it was and sort of take it all in, because I was too young to appreciate it at the time.
Yeah, of course.
One of the things I noticed here was during Val Venus' entrance, they normally show like a beautiful woman in the crowd, but they're in London, so, But we do get treated to the normal famous Val Venus promo where he always works on some double entendres.
Yeah.
And this, of course, has the UK references as well, and he calls himself, you know something, ladies, the big Valboski's a bit like the Tower of London. And you're thinking, how? But he always manages. They both go up and down, and we both have the crown jewels. And you're like, all right, okay. It's such a like stretch.
He's a weird fucker, I gotta say, Val Venus.
Well, it's just filthy, Michael. I don't go for that kind of humour.
Potty mouth.
But it's a bit like Joel Gertner in ECW. Used to do those, but his were actually filthy. They weren't double entendres. He just said really disgusting stuff. But Val's were a bit more classy. But this is all part of a storyline. Believe it or not, this one actually ties in where Terry had left Goldust.
Yeah.
Was sleeping with Val Venus.
That's
and
right.
decided to come out on Raw and say, We're pregnant. And Val Venus pulled the old, bitch, what do you mean we? There's no we here. So this is what I meant earlier when I said, like, this is really like Ricky Lake. This is really Jerry Springer. Because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Val Venus wants nothing to do with her. She goes back to Goldust. Val Venus says, I had a vasectomy anyway, so it couldn't have been mine.
Yeah.
And Goldust tells her, you better forget you ever heard the name Goldust. So nobody wants her, or maybe.
Yeah.
And then I think you found out as well it was fake anyway, didn't you? Like,
I think so.
Didn't she get knocked off the apron by
don't know.
Dilo, wasn't it? Or something like that? And
I think Dilo caused her of a miscarriage or something.
Something like that.
I learned a lot, through WWF back in these days.
What a miscarriage was.
Vasectomies, miscarriage.
We were definitely old before our time after watching Attitude or Raw.
Hawk
course,
committing
like-
suicide with first exposure to.
Of course. But
Yeah.
she comes out to try and win Goldust over on the Raw before this, or a couple of Raws before this, and in her old Marlena gear. And she comes out and she's got the cigar and all that, but Goldust tells her, piss off. I don't really want anything to do with you. And all I could think was, at the time, she should have went after Bill Clinton because he was known for doing things with cigars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was that time. But during Goldust's entrance, I noticed somebody in the crowd with a big sign that just says, "Rape me."
What?
either there's a big Nirvana fan, a big Goldust fan, or just somebody with issues.
Someone get about turned on by Valboski there.
So Goldust gets a pop as well. I think the crowd just wanted to cheer for everything and anything here. I don't think.
Both wrestlers were fan favourites at the time,
No.
and they're definitely treated that way during this match. It was another fuck finish match though, Patrick. It was a night of fuck finishes. I'm going to say this after every match. I think the big Valboski used the ref to distract Goldust. Goldust was going to do the Shattered Dreams, and Val pulls the ref in the way, and then did he get a schoolboy on him?
But he does. He rolls him up. He just slips behind him and rolls him up, and that's it. It's as simple as that.
Cheap finish.
There was a few movies before it, like I remember Goldust.
Oh, of course.
going for, like, but it didn't make much sense. Goldust going for a monkey flip, which I was like, what? What is this? And it's always like the Shattered Dreams. You always thought it was a disqualification. Like, how could he ever use it in the match? They always had to work it in somehow. But what I noticed during this is when he went for it, how mental the crowd went. Like the hard camera,
Yeah.
he couldn't even cut it because it was shaking so much.
I was going to say that, so after post match, he does hit the Shattered Dreams, but the hard cam is shaking. The fans must be going crazy, and maybe that's now where they tarp off with the hard cameras, because the camera is shaking, and it makes the move far more impactful.
It makes it look really popular too, and it just makes it look like the British love nothing more than a good swift kick in the dick. Like, they just love seeing someone get kicked in the balls.
Yeah, go kicking that balls.
What did you think of the match overall?
Not bad. I thought it was alright.
Yeah.
It was nice to see all the wee flashbacks about Tyrone's baby and stuff.
Val Venis is one of those guys that I always like watching too. And I always, every time I watch his matches, I think he never won a match with his fisherman suplex. He worked it into every match, and he never won a match with it, did he? I don't remember.
I don't
ever
think
won
so.
a match
No.
with
I don't think he had the money shot. I was a big fan of the money shot back in the day.
it. It didn't make an appearance at this match, did it?
It did not.
So what do we got next? We got Mr. McMahon. This is a pre-taped kind of. They always come to the UK and do wee bits and pieces around, and they sort of show. And for this one, Mr. McMahon himself went to Oxford University to speak.
That's right.
And what I loved about this was he's at Oxford University, which, as we looked up, was like the most famous university in the world.
It's the number one ranked university in the world.
But they actually introduced him as evil owner Vince McMahon. And I don't think when other people come to speak that they do it in character.
Yeah.
Like when the Game of Thrones people come to speak, I don't think they get introduced as someone from the Night's Watch or whatever. They just get. But Vince McMahon comes in, and I love the way he's like, I couldn't hear you, and he makes it do it again, just like a wrestling crowd. But they're like university toffs, and it's the most excited he gets, like a light.
Yeah.
like the Casti University Challenge sitting there. But they don't even show anything he said. Did you notice that?
I scoured the internet trying to find anything from his speech. It's almost like it didn't happen.
Maybe he said something really embarrassing during it.
Yeah, but I scoured the internet trying to find. I was like, there's cameras there. Someone had to take notes. Someone has to publish something. So if you're an Oxford University student and you've got access to this, please post it online.
If you were there,
I'd be really
especially.
interested to hear what Vince had to say, especially at this time in his career.
They basically show his intro and then put music over the rest, and that's all you see. And then they throw back to JR and King, and they're not ready. They're just sitting there for a bit.
Well, JR wasn't feeling well, come on.
Well, of course, you have to give them that. But they're obviously waiting for the next cue, which is the Corporation.
Yeah.
Come out next. Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, Joe Briscoe, and Shane McMahon. And if we were any in doubt that this was just a glorified Raw, we get this mid-show promo that they were so famous. But my favourite thing here, and it's one of my favourite things in general, is someone who can't speak trying to speak. And Pat Patterson trying to speak English is one of my favourite things in wrestling. Because for a start, he goes, I'm out here to announce something special tonight. The lineup has changed. The Rock will meet his most famous opponent, or toughest opponent yet. And he goes on, they say, he's like, no, he's not wrestling. Hunter Hearst Hemsley. And he calls him Hemsley like 6 times.
As you know, The Rock, the World Wrestling Federation champion.
Corporate champ. Patterson loves The Rock.
The Rock tonight will meet his toughest opponent yet. No, he was supposed to wrestle Hunter Hearst Helmsley tonight.
That's Triple
It's
H.
not going to be Hunter Hearst Helmsley because Hunter Hearst Helmsley is going to have his hands full tonight. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is going to go on one-on-one with Jeff Jarrett.
And during while he's speaking, did you notice that Vince McMahon left the stage?
Vince disappears.
And he comes back, which is what I imagine you would be like if you were in the corporation. You wouldn't do a promo without a cup of tea.
Fair play to when I watched the back, I was like, fair play to you, Vince. A cup of tea and you.
But he stands there while everyone else is talking, and he's sipping his tea or whatever, and it goes to Joe Briscoe, and he does his Mr. McMahon. He does the whole thing. He passes it on to Shane. Shane just goes on there ripping on Vinnie Jones.
Shane goes for it here. This
promo, I love this part of the show. This is my favourite part of the show. I'll get into it in a minute, but Shane basically, says, I was down at the bar having a few pints and I heard two men talking, and they were talking about the George Michael interview, and he basically insinuates that he thinks that Vinnie Jones is George Michael's secret boyfriend.
Yep.
And that's what a hard man is. So there's one. He insinuates that Vinnie Jones is homosexual.
Yep.
That's a careless whisper, by the way, in George Michael. What I want to know is whose barrel was locked, whose was stocked, and which one was smoking. And it's terrible.
And you have Pat Patterson over laughing at the
I
side.
know Pat Patterson's like, gay jokes. No problem.
You see, last night I was down at the bar having a few pints, and I happened to eavesdrop on these two British individuals, and they were having their beer, and they were watching this television show. The television show happened to be the George Michael interview from last night.
I saw that.
Now, George, I started watching. George kept talking about his boyfriend. However, never ever mentioned the boyfriend by name.
Uh-oh.
So all of a sudden I started thinking, I go, wow, could you imagine? Could it be true that George Michael's boyfriend is none other than Vinnie Jones?
You think? Come on. Holy mackerel. Vinnie Jones is a man's
I mean,
man, but not
if
that
it was
way.
true, then obviously the term I would understand, Vinnie Jones would be a hard man.
Look at Mr. McMahon having a spot of tea.
And Vinnie, I know you're back there listening. If this is true, I need to know whose barrel was locked, whose was stopped, and which barrel was smoking.
But it's funny how much they use gays and that's all, isn't it?
I know.
The attitude here.
I know. Definitely. And it's like, oh, you never get over it. You wouldn't do it now.
No.
It'd be very, very PC and you wouldn't say things like that now. But at the time, it was a huge insult.
But especially considering Pat Patterson was, well, I don't know if he was out then. I don't know the timeline of him coming out, but I mean, it was known.
Yeah, it was
in the industry.
it was definitely known, but
I mean, he was a huge part of booking at the time too, and being agents for the matches. So I don't know what he thought.
yeah, I know. And I think JR kind of goes in the background like, Vinnie Jones was a man's man, but not that way.
That's exactly what he says. He said, because Vinnie's like, he's not a fairy, he won't like that. It's Vince's turn then. He gets the big asshole chant, which I miss a lot.
Yeah.
The asshole chant. But you find out why he got the tea then. And he talks about tea time.
Yeah.
You go, what a pious bunch of crap or something like that. Throws it in the ground, the fine china smashed all over the stage. And then he goes, my favourite part, you English. which I don't think we can get away with saying. Being from Northern Ireland.
I know, I don't think we can.
Without
But
getting in trouble. But it's what I imagine most like Spanish summer resorts are thinking around this time of year.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, here comes you, England. Basically, and this is where I think that this promo that Vince really means. I don't think he likes coming to the UK because he talks about like the English think they're somebody, but they were in history, and now they're nobody. Now they're vile, swarmy sloths and all this, and they have nothing but the Falkland Islands and all this. But the best bit of all this is every promo ends on like the biggest insult, the mic drop moment.
yeah.
And Vince McMahon's big pipe bomb to drop here is they tell him, your future is under a Prime Minister of Pakistani descent.
The future of Great Britain will simply be a cesspool of decay, a cesspool of
decadence and debauchery. And in all likelihood, that cesspool, in all likelihood, will be governed by a prime minister of Pakistani extraction. I thank you very much.
Woo! Winston Churchill's flipping in his grave right now.
Like, he basically tells him, and his big burn is, you're going to be under Packy rule someday, as if that's something horrible.
I don't know.
And it's like, that's in the space of 2 minutes. They've done a really offensive thing towards gay people.
Yeah.
And now a really racist
I know.
towards the Pakistani culture. And there were probably a lot of Pakistani people in that crowd.
Oh, definitely.
What do you think's worse? Using it as an insult, or the fact that it worked as an insult?
You know, I definitely, like, they're after some major heat, and it worked. And watching it back is quite shocking.
It really was. I wasn't
found
expecting
it really shocking.
But I laughed so hard because the next thing that happens is
Tiger Alice's music cuts. I know. I really enjoyed that part.
I loved it.
Of Capital Carnage.
No exaggeration, my favourite part of the show, just because of how ridiculously controversial it was, and it has never been brought up since. But as we said, Tiger Ali Singh comes out next. He comes out like the shower of rage. Vince McMahon's just riled them up talking about Pakistanis, and then an Indian comes out. So they can't be a foreigner now, Vince is right.
Yeah.
But they boo him.
I know.
And they boo him long and hard. His theme tune.
I love his music.
It's a banger.
I know. It's a cracker. But I liked how, you know, again, go back to this, the old tired concept of this being a showcase for WWE, and I just like how, you know, each character comes out onto the stage and 1 or 2 lines of dialogue is all it takes to paint a picture of who this character is. JR or the King, I'm not sure who says. So Tiger Ali Singh walks through the curtain. He's a 27-year-old. He's of Asian descent. He's very wealthy. He's been born into these riches, and basically he thinks he's better than everyone, and that's it. And it's very simple, and it's another thing that WWE do not do anymore.
And he gets a second too before the match to cut a promo, which in 30 seconds basically gets over his whole character, especially in England, where he comes out and says that he dedicates the match to his Indian forefathers who were under British Empire's oppression and all this.
Yeah.
You're going like, so as an Irishman, you're going, maybe I like that.
Go on, son, go on.
But he's fighting Edge, who I think Edge was popular from day one, because he gets a really big ovation here. He comes through the crowd, which helps.
Yeah. Because
you're obviously going to be excited to someone coming through the crowd. But he gets a big ovation again.
He does. He really does. And, you know, back to earlier night when Edge and Christian first made their appearance, they were booed when they came out to assist Gangrel. But here, he gets a standing ovation. He's over like a rover. Again, but Patrick, a short match.
There's not much to it. No, Edge actually does the JOB, which I wasn't expecting.
I wasn't expecting that either, but after Vince's racial slur,
They had to give him something.
it's not very often Tiger Ali Singh gets a 1.
I don't remember
Ever?
many Tiger Ali Singh matches to begin with, but he catches him mid-air, power slams him down, and then one's with his feet in the ropes, so it's a tainted one. But
Yeah,
it's
a tainted
it's
one. But as Michael Cole says every week,
He goes down in the record.
take the one however you're going to get it, doesn't matter. So he beats Edge, and Edge gives him a beatdown then before he leaves though.
Then he gets his pop back.
He gets his own back, and yeah, that's it. But it's, again, a quick introduction to the characters, and Edge obviously went on to be the rated R superstar.
And as we've been doing, the Wrestling Observer ratings for this one gave it a 1 star, which
I rightly deserved.
Can't really argue.
Wouldn't even give it a 1 star, Patrick.
And next, another promo, but this time it's from the man in the hour,
Madman.
the man himself, George Michael's boyfriend.
Yep.
Vinnie Jones.
Okay, Vinnie Jones comes
Because
out.
he's the special enforcer. He's alright, geezer. And he comes out and he's wearing full leathers and black and his
Yeah.
lovely chain and all that. And
Yep.
But like, when I look back at this, and I don't know, to me, he really hadn't done anything at this point. Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Because they were hyping it here.
But he must have, before this, he must have been getting in fights in the football.
Oh, he
field and
was.
stuff.
He was a footballer. He was with a
Because
reputation.
everyone did know who Vinnie Jones was.
Everyone knew who he was. He had the thug reputation. He wasn't on a good team. He wasn't a star player. He wasn't super charismatic like David Beckham or whoever. He was just known as like a dickhead.
Yeah. Well,
He was-
JR coined him when he was coming out to the ring. Vinnie Jones likes to fight. And he said he'll drop you, or he'll fight you at the drop of a hat.
That's what he says.
And he calls him the British bad boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Great Britain's own Vinnie Jones.
must be hard, man.
He was overly aggressive on the pitch. He's well known for, he did a home video. You know, you do like the greatest goals every Christmas. You buy your dad best goals and the own goals and gaffs or whatever. Vinnie Jones did one that was basically football's hard men.
Okay.
And it was a whole video of dirty tackles and just people being like bad on the pitch. And he actually got in trouble with the FA.
Okay.
For bringing the game into disrepute. He got fined and suspended for this. So this is what started this whole reputation and made him sort of bigger than the sport.
Yeah.
So I still find it weird that they used him here, but it's obviously why Guy Ritchie and whoever spotted him, they bring him in the Lock, Stock as a gangster or whatever.
Yeah.
He was in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Was he in Snatch? Mm-hmm. Gone in 60 Seconds. And all I still think of him as, there's two things. Juggernaut.
Oh, he wasn't Juggernaut? I'm a Juggernaut, bitch. I forgot about that.
That's all I think. I think when Kitty Pryde absorbs him into the floor. And I wish he got absorbed into the floor during this promo because he's awful. But the other thing I remember him is The Condemned with Austin.
I was going to say this.
Do you remember him in that?
I do. Oh, he's a bad.
He's bad in it. Like.
He's a bad boy in that. He's a very bad boy. And there's a DVD extra. Did you know this?
What is it?
On The Condemned. And Austin and Vinnie Jones watched the main event of Capital Carnage together.
I don't think I've seen it. I have the DVD. I don't think I've ever watched it.
Oh, it's DVD extra.
No,
We'll watch this after.
We'll watch it after. All I remember from that is Austin's one-liners. Like, and Vinnie Jones being a bad man, but Austin's one-liners mostly. You can tell the warden to go fuck himself.
He doesn't say much in that film, does he?
No. The best part's when he goes to him, you heard you got into some trouble in El Salvador. What were you doing down there? And he's like, working on my tan. He says, you blew up a building. Why'd you do that? Blocking my son. And now you nearly think Austin wrote them himself. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how Vinnie Jones is maintained, but I looked at his IMDb and he hasn't stopped working since in acting, and he's never gone past like an EastEnders level of acting.
Yeah.
That I think anyway. But
he was in Ricky Gervais's Extras.
He was great in that.
He was brilliant in that.
That was probably the best thing he's ever done with Ross Kemp. But we can blame Guy Ritchie, I suppose, for all that.
Vinnie Jones looked a bit lost there, though, I have to say. When he was out in the ring, Michael Cole.
Oh, this was great.
The questions are pretty good. So, Vinnie, what do you think of Vince and his son Shane?
That's right. I'm gonna look for him after I get out of this ring. I'm gonna knock him out. Did they write that for you, like, or did you just?
I think he was just winging it for the best part.
What do you think of WWF owner Mr. McMahon and his son Shane?
I'm gonna go and look for him after when I get out of this ring, and I'm gonna knock him out.
Michael Cole makes mention that he's a hard man in football, the hardest man in football or something like that, and he asked him was he prepared to mix up with the WWF superstars if provoked.
That's right.
And he's like,
I remember his answer.
He's like, we British mix up with anybody or something, isn't it? Something like that.
Spoken like a true Brit on holiday. He has to be pleased with your action mark because they all go bananas for it.
Are you prepared to mix it up if provoked tonight by any WWF superstar?
Us British mix it with anybody!
It's like, yeah, that's right, we do. You tell him, Vinny, and you're not gay either.
But he gets a big reaction. He starts like doing the Hulk Hogan pose and stuff.
And
he gets on it, and I think it throws him more. Funny.
It does. He gets more on it. And Michael Cole sort of he refers to the Fatal 4-Way, and he just starts going, yeah, bring him on. We're British. Bring your Americans over here, and we're gonna trash them, sling them out of England.
But at some point, I think Vinny gives like the wrong answer because Michael Cole like whispers in his ear. I think this part about the Americans and stuff. I think Vinny went off script there.
He was like, we're all American.
No.
Pull that back a bit there. Like, but like it's either that or he whispers him the last line for the promo. They has to end it on.
Yeah.
But the last line he ends it on is like,
I've got one thing to say to Britain tonight. It's gonna be emotional.
it's gonna be emotional. It's not really like.
I know.
It's not any good stuff. Like
it's so bad it's good. It is so bad it's good.
It is. It's one of those things. Like I think it's actually been played since on like Soccer AM and stuff as one of those moments for football fans who just go, "What is going on?" But don't understand football. Just especially later on when you see what happens with him before the main event.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this, or what we were going to talk about here. Did you come up with anyone who could have done it, who could have filled the role instead of Vinnie Jones at the time?
I had to think about it. I think for UK fans, I think Liam and Noel Gallagher from Oasis, I think they would have been perfect.
That's what I have here.
Oh, is that what you've got?
That's what I literally have here.
I think Liam Gallagher specifically would have been the man. But leans very rock and roll. And I just don't think he would have signed up to it.
No, I think wrestling's below Oasis in their eyes.
Oh, definitely. I think everything's
But
below
that's what I
them
was thinking. I
in
mean,
their
if
eyes.
you got them on board to do something, you would have had like an
gee.
ECW Dudley Boys heat from whatever they would come out and say.
Yeah.
Like. But I was trying to think who else, and I was like, football wise, you had Roy Keane and stuff like that, but he was Irish, so he wasn't going to get a thing. He had Eric Cantona coming to the end of his career.
Yeah.
But he maybe could have done a karate kick for old time's sake. But really, I couldn't think of anyone. But Oasis was the one that I thought for in that era, at that age, all I had in my life was football and wrestling.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit of music. And Oasis was the thing in 1998. The other thing I thought was they could have done the Verve, and they could have had Richard Ashcroft just walking through the backstage area, bumping into people, because that song was out at the time. But that was all I could come up with. But Oasis must have been the good shirt, because we both came up with that independently. So
Yeah.
She is the World Wrestling Federation Women's Champion, Sable.
Wow. She is hot. Does look like she might have a fever. She is healthy. She's fit. What they say over here in England is she's fit.
the reason everyone's come to this podcast.
Yeah.
If you found it by accident, I suppose you're probably Googling Jaggy's titties and found our podcast by accident. So if you're still here, well done.
I know.
This was Mark Merrow's last match in the WWE for a while. He had actually lost on Raw before this, a loser leaves kind of stipulation match.
Yeah. Before we get into this mixed tag match that we're about to get into, looking back, I think this is the first time I kind of remember hearing like wrestling jargon on WWE TV. Mark Merrow was like, "If I lose to this jobber" and stuff, and
That's right.
I remember even back to those days thinking like, "What's a jobber?" I know The Rock used things like jabroni and stuff, maybe a little bit on the lead up to this, but I think this was the beginning of smarks, internet marks, and
Vince Russo working that stuff in. They
Yeah.
really wanted that mixed with reality.
yeah, and I distinctly remember Mark Merrow using the term jobber, and maybe it had been used on TV before, but this is my first recollection of
Well, this
ever
was
hearing
like,
this.
you're right in saying, it's Dwayne Gill that actually beats him, and he calls him a jobber.
Gilbert.
Exactly. And then he ends up in the job squad.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's the Blue Meanie that comes out
that's
and
right.
costs him the match. So, but him and Jacqueline had actually just finished up their whole storyline,
That's
and for
right.
whatever reason, he must have had his date left on his show, because they do actually say
Yeah. He's
contractual obligations.
Yeah.
So, mixed tag rules, men on men, ladies on ladies, but obviously they don't stick to it, because they never do. But Sable gets a massive cheer here, because she was just the bee's knees at the time, really.
Sable was. And it's interesting to hear the commentary, especially from JR. King, we know King was always a creep. He always had something to say about the ladies. He coined the term puppies. This is a wee bit before that. But JR's the one that makes the comments about Sable and her entrance. He says things like, "She's hot. She is healthy." And it's just weird. And when I was watching this back, Patrick, I was thinking, so we all know now JR was the head of talent relations. So what is it like? JR gets a job, but he's fucking creeping on you as well. Like, it's just a bit of a weird setup.
I have a feeling that there was someone in his ear going, "She's healthy, healthy." What do we got here? So, it's, again, there's not much to it. I know we're saying this for every match, but there's a bit of comedy in it. Mark Merrow pulls his shorts up to try and make sure he can't get a low blow.
Yeah.
Christian comes on, pulls his shorts down. It's
Hold
basically,
on. Before we go on, how weird is Christian in this match? He makes his entrance, and I mean, I like Christian. I've always been a fan of Edge and Christian. My God, Christian just looks like a wee lost puppy coming out in his entrance. He looks weird coming out. Like, as you mentioned earlier, there's no flames, there's a couple candles, and he just looks odd.
I always think Christian here was playing the part of the Brood, where he's like supposed to be mysterious and sort of brooding, for lack of a better term, but he's supposed to be mysterious more than anything. But really, he just looked grumpy.
He
He always looked like he was thinking about something really hard. Sable comes in and she blatantly low blows Mark Merrow and gives him the Sable Bomb.
Yeah.
And this is something I was saying to you before, that this is one of these games I like to remember to play when I watch old matches. And one of them is, when Sable does the Sable Bomb, does she fall over? Because she stumbles on nearly everyone at least. So it's always like, oh, is she going to go? But in this one, she stays on her feet.
She hits it, and she gets a big reaction throughout the whole match.
She does, and when
Sable
Jackie
was
finally tags on,
Sable was a huge star.
she was massive. She took over from Sonny when Sonny had her problems, and Sable took that and she ran with it big time, like, and they made her into everything.
Yeah.
TV Guide, she was up there with Austin and everyone else. It was always Austin, Undertaker, Rock, Sable.
Yeah.
Until she fell out with him, of course. But when Jackie finally tags in, it's on with the two women, basically. And Sable tackles her and gives her some of the worst punches
Awful.
that I've seen in a long time. And I don't know, how bad was she? I mean, we tend to sort of remember this. Maybe we rose tinted glasses. Not that it was ever good, but certainly not that it was ever this bad.
I don't know. I mean, you know, maybe the wrestlers were jet lagged. I don't know. You can make excuses for them all day long, but Patrick, to be quite honest, I just don't think it was as good as what we remember.
No. But what happens is she's already hit Sable with a Mero. She finishes the match with a TKO.
Yeah.
On Jackie. But of course, the reason everybody's here, Jacqueline attacks the ref, Tim White, and Tim White was always the one involved.
I know.
Wasn't he? You think he had that in his contract?
I think so. Tim, he liked getting physical all the time.
He did.
He even got his career ended in Hell in a Cell.
True. Somehow, Jacqueline ends up on his back.
No bar.
Sable reaches up, she pulls down her top, and completely exposes her girls.
Yeah.
It's pixelated on the WWE Network for all the pervs out there. Just in case you're thinking of watching it, don't bother. You can get it elsewhere. But
Shows a wee gif there somewhere.
JR throws in, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. But the referee does a full 360 so that everyone gets a good look. And it takes her a while. You're like, you said you timed it at 5 seconds?
I timed it at 5 seconds.
Jacqueline attacking the referee. She did. Whoa! Big mistake, Jacqueline. Out of the show. Oh my gosh! Good Lord of mercy! Oh my gosh! Well. What? Well, that wasn't supposed to happen. Good grief. King, are you all right? Ladies and gentlemen, we need an ambulance for the King. The King is speechless.
I don't know what WWE were thinking. I think the actions that they took at Capital Carnage, I think they've spent 20 years to try and undo what they did at this event. I think as soon as Jacqueline's top was ripped off, and I know this was a UK only event, but word had to spread across back to the US that they did this stunt. And we went on, we seen in future events, Cat and heaven forbid, Mae Young, you know, it happened since, and then WWE have been undoing what happened to Capital Carnage for years and years. I think it has tarnished women's wrestling.
I'm surprised it was on there. I'm surprised it was on the network. I thought they were going to cut to something else.
Yeah,
because
it would have been very easy to chop that out.
Yeah, fair play to them for not doing it. The next one's not as remembered, even though JR promises before the match it's going to be a dandy, but it's Ken Shamrock with the Big Boss Man against Steve Blackman.
Yeah.
One brave fan manages to reach out and grab Shamrock. If you notice the ringside, just before he does his scream at the side, and he's lucky he escapes with his life, but Shamrock gave him a stern look, and I'd say he browned his pants a bit. But I was a big fan of Ken Shamrock. I know he wasn't cut from the wrestler mold in it, but I think that's why I liked him.
Yeah.
Because he was unorthodox, and you kind of didn't know what he was going to do. There's a bit in this match where he didn't do things by the book. He runs into the ropes when the ref's not expecting it, and the ref has to completely dive out of the way because it's not like what a TV match should be or whatever. And he seemed to throw things in like that other guys just didn't, and I just loved watching Ken Shamrock.
I think Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman, they were two legitimate badasses. They were, but I think Ken Shamrock transcended a bit of what wrestling was. He was known as a legitimate fighter. I just think just his backstory, being like an Ultimate Fighting champion, no one knew what Ultimate Fighting was, but people knew it was. You remember the packages where it was like you talked about fighting on the street, and there was a legitimacy
to Ken
Shamrock.
At this point, he turned heel, and he was the aggressive Ken Shamrock who took control of matches, and I kind of like that better than when he was the face, because he should be that ass kicker just out there, and he's with the corporation at this stage.
Yeah.
Big Boss Man's at ringside, and they're just chanting "You fat bastard" at him over and over. And somebody in the crowd has a sign that says "Ultimate Farting Champion," and it made me laugh more than it should have. And that's Attitude Era Raw for you, or Attitude Era signs, isn't it?
I get very disappointed in fuck finishes, and this was yet again another fuck finish. Big Boss Man strikes Steve Blackman in the ankle with his nightstick. I think here they call it a baton.
Well, it wasn't. It was different. It was like a extendable stick. It wasn't as normal. Maybe it wasn't allowed to have through customs.
Maybe you get taken off him. Yeah, and Shamrock locked in the ankle lock and quick tap out. Not a bad match.
Yeah,
But again, not a lot to say about it.
no, it was passable. And of course, those two went on to have a really famous feud the next year with the Iron Circle match and all that, which I really enjoyed. But this is kind of a, you would call it a throwaway, really, because it didn't lead to anything, didn't come from anything. So after this, we had The Rock doing a promo backstage.
Yeah, that's right. The Rock was good. This is the corporate champ. He just turned heel. And, you know, we were so used to The Rock being heel, we got a small glimpse of him being a babyface, as they like to say. And this was good. And it was Michael Cole interviewing The Rock about the changes of the night. You know, did he know that he was going to be facing X-Pac? And The Rock says, of course. I got a corporate email during the week. And, you know, he just said, of course he was prepared for X-Pac. But at the end of his promo, he kind of cited different famous wrestling catchphrases throughout the years. And I think he did this a few times.
He did it a few times. He did. He always threw it in for the crowd whenever he needed one the full time, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a good promo every time.
It's a good promo every time. He cites a bit of a, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? He does a bit of, that's the bottom line. He does, to be the man, woo, you gotta beat the man. And I even think he quotes Bret Hart as well.
Yeah, he always did this at the time. He does the best there is, the best there was. Oh, it's definitely not that one. They always just stick an extra knife under Bret every chance they get. And then he drops the, if you smell what the Rock is cooking. But
So X-Pac, what you gonna do when the 24... Oh, that's it. That's the bottom line, because to be the man, woo, you got... I am the best there is, the best... That's definitely not it. This is it. The most electrifying line in sports entertainment today. If you smell... what the Rock...
We had Triple H versus Double J. I always find that a bit fascinating.
this was all part of the shake-up because of X-Pac losing his match with Regal and therefore Triple H losing his match with The Rock. I noticed during this match that there was a trend in the matches going on, that there was a crossbody in nearly every match. I don't know if you picked up on this, but Jeff Jarrett tried one in this one. And there was like crossbodies and the roll-ups in nearly every match.
Yeah.
But that's just something I have in my notes. Deborah gets involved. She tries to choke Triple H, but Chyna runs her off. This is a real house show kind of match.
Yeah.
Where there's no real aggression.
Yep.
It feels like it doesn't matter. It's not awful, but it's not important.
Yeah.
And they just do the sleeper hold for a while. Deborah tries to distract Triple H. Jeff Jarrett just sneak on with the chair. He gets the pedigree and it's over.
That's it.
There's really nothing to it.
A little bit of outside interference again, as you said, from Deborah and Chyna. It's important to mention Chyna was there. I think Double J, this was a bit of his transition. I think Deborah's kind of only recently gotten bored. He lost his hair at SummerSlam. This was the beginning of the don't piss me off, Jeff Jarrett. But again, as you said, bit of a boring match, bit of a throwaway match. But it was good to see Triple H in action. And again, it was just about rolling out the stars.
Yeah, I love seeing the evolution of the guys like Triple H from here to now. But this is just before Jeff Jarrett started teaming with Owen Hart as well, where he found like a bit of a new lease of life and became tag team champions.
The next part I really love, Patrick. This is what I've been really excited about. We've had fucking titties and everything. This is what I've been excited about. There was a D'Lo Brown package. This is when D'Lo was he just lost his European Championship, but D'Lo was European.
He's out in the streets of London.
I love packages like this, and I don't think WWE take advantage anymore of their locations. And all we see is Kurt Angle texting in his office. This is great. This is D'Lo on tour in London.
It's good to be back home. I haven't been here in a long time. I can almost see my office lights still on. I left my key. I mean, if I just scream, Queenie! See her windows open up. Queenie!
You better recognise D'Lo Brown. He goes and sees the Queen. He goes to Buckingham Palace and he's waving in windows and stuff. There's the Queen, and someone sends like a shit car to pick him up. He's waiting on his limo, and some guy with this banger Vauxhall Astra or something.
And the boom mic peeks into that. The boom mic comes in the shot. And he takes some selfies with a disposable camera.
And he's at the river and he's telling the camera crew about the famous river Thames. And like some guy corrects him in the streets of River Thames, and cheesy gacky stuff, but I love it. And at the end, it's like, it's great to be European.
Yeah.
D'Lo Brown, and I love, when I think of D'Lo Brown, I think of this European.
The European title. My favourite in this is it cuts to him meeting a fan who knows him, and it's this balding guy in a Leicester City scarf and a South Park t-shirt, and you're thinking, D'Lo's like, oh, somebody recognises me, and you're like, he's definitely in time for the wrestling. Look what he's wearing. But we go back, and of course it's D'Lo's match next, D'Lo and Mark Henry, and the Outlaws come out first. New Age Outlaws against D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry for the tag titles. The Outlaws get their whole sing-along going.
London, England! Let's make a little noise up in this music!
This is the famous time when Mark Henry takes her out.
Took China on a date.
Finally takes her out. She shows a bit of personality, enjoys him dancing.
Yeah.
And they get into a bar fight.
Of course. Of course.
Of course.
It happens with all my dates, Patrick.
Absolutely. This is the longest match so far. It's the first one to go over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But Road Dogg hits all his sort of moves early on. And I don't know if you notice, he gets knocked the fuck out.
What?
The Road Dogg.
Does he?
At some point, he gets hurt and he's lying there and he doesn't move for the rest of the match. And I think it's after he takes a sky high, because it's a super high sky high, and he really hits hard. But he just lies there the whole time. And it takes him a while to realise how bad it is, because he barely moves. Like, from the moment he hits the ground to the finish of the match, he doesn't get up. At one point, he finally tags Billy Gunn in.
Yeah.
And he does all the hot tag stuff.
You know, but there's always this format with the New Age Outlaws. As much as I like the New Age Outlaws, I have Road Dogg t-shirt, was one of my first ones. But there was always this format where, you know, Road Dogg took the beating and he hot tagged Billy Gunn on.
But this one, Billy Gunn does the hot tag, and then he gets dominated for a while. And when he goes to do the hot tag, Road Dogg's just not there. He's still lying on the apron. He's not up ready for the tag. And you can see he sort of checks on him, and they go, oh shit. And straight away after, he gets a pile driver and just covers him.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
And
Road
it's a dodgy pile driver
Road
too.
Dogg just gets off the apron and goes. And he's like slamming the mat, and he's
You know,
really
Patrick,
pissed
I'm
off.
going to have to rewatch this match to see this knockout.
For Road Dogg.
Per Road Dogg. But then, you know, D'Lo Brown got a bad pile driver at the end. Billy Gunn has this botch pile driver. I don't think anyone was hurt, but it looked bad. It looked bad on TV. I think it looked bad at the time, and rewatching it looked awful. They should have redid the spot probably. But, you know, judgment call, he probably just had to get out of there when Road Dogg was nagged out. Watching it back, I couldn't remember if Austin appeared on camera before his match, but he does, and he appears for about 30 seconds. It's a really quick interview, and Austin looks rubbered. It's like he's drunk, or he's jet lagged, or I don't know what it is. He doesn't say much. He speaks a million miles a minute, and he basically said he's pissed off, and he tells Michael Cole to go away. It's great.
Simple to the point.
Short and sweet.
So we move on to WWF title match, Rock and X-Pac, and as anyone who knows me knows, my second favourite wrestler at this time, only to Stone Cold himself, was X-Pac.
The 1, 2, 3 kid.
I loved him. Thought he was so underrated. He introduced me to energy drinks.
That's right.
So he was your random favourite, lower card kind of guy.
My brother was really into D'Lo. I know we've talked about D'Lo already. My brother was really into D'Lo. At this time, you know, I kind of was a fan of The Rock, I must say. Rock and Austin were always a couple of my favourites. I was really into Road Dogg. Other than that, I was a big Taka Michinoku fan as well for a while. And I was glad to see them make a kind of comeback, but I think everyone was on the high flyers.
They talk about 2 weeks ago in Raw being X-Pac's first chance at the WWF title. It was the first time he ever got a WWF title shot, but they don't ever acknowledge that he had like really famous world title shot when he was the 1, 2, 3 kid against Bret Hart. Whether that's because they don't want to acknowledge that he was the 1, 2, 3 kid, or whether they don't want to acknowledge Bret Hart, I don't know. But it's kind of always referred to now as one of the greatest matches in the early days of Raw.
Yeah.
So it's funny that they don't mention it here and they kind of act like it didn't happen. The one thing I took away at the start of this as well is that JR says that both The Rock and X-Pac are 26 at this time. And it blows your mind really, because X-Pac at this time already felt like he'd been around forever.
Yeah.
And he was so young when he came in as like the Lightning Kid and stuff.
And at this time, was The Rock the youngest WWF champion of all time?
Yeah, at the time. Until Brock Lesnar?
Till Brock?
Was it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
X-Pac gets in the early offense. The crowd are loving it. The Rock goes to grab the title and do the old "this sucks, I'm leaving" kind of thing, the old house show special. He starts making.
I think that was kind of like, might not have been the first time, but this is when The Rock started doing this kind of stuff mid-match and talking on microphone. He did that a lot during this run as the corporate champion, doesn't he?
He talked every chance he could get, and I think that's what helped him so much at the time. No matter what he was doing, they threw a microphone in front of him and he made it fun. Triple H comes out to stop The Rock doing his run away.
Oh, Triple H. I don't like Triple H in this match.
But he comes down the blue felt ramp, our lovely ramp from earlier, and him and China make The Rock run back into the ring. But almost immediately, X-Pac misses the Bronco Buster and ruins the whole advantage he just got. So The Rock, one of my favourite things in this is when The Rock used to go for a low blow, instead of doing the old wrestling forearm between the legs up, Rock used to just punch you in the dick. And he does it here to X-Pac. He just opens his leg and just gives him a straight punch. The scoop slam and the corporate elbow come in here too, and it's before it's his big finisher.
Yeah.
And while he's doing it, he throws in the old crotch chop just to really stick it to him. And this is the stuff that The Rock just did better than anybody.
The most entertaining man in sports entertainment.
So he sets up the Rock bottom, but Triple H distracts the ref. The crowd go bananas for sliding in and giving The Rock a low blow. With the ref down, Triple H grabs X-Pac's belt and hits The Rock, because X-Pac was European champion at the time. The hard cam can't even keep steady with the crowd going wild again.
Yeah.
X-Pac is about to win the match in the eyes of all these people who think
Yeah.
they're there to see something crazy. The cheap ending, I have to say, one of your fuck finishes.
Fuck finish again. Here we go.
The Rock goes outside and pushes China, and then Triple H attacks The Rock and gets
I mean,
X-Pac disqualified.
come on, Triple H, you cheeky wee bastard.
Probably the last chance X-Pac's going to get at a world
I know.
title for a long time.
I
And
know.
and X-Pac doesn't seem to care. He just comes out and joins him, beating down
That's the
China.
thing I find interesting, is that X-Pac just joins in the beatdown on The Rock.
He just slides out and goes, yeah, alright, match is over, and beat him up. Maybe China's honour meant more than the title at the time.
Maybe so. Both men had an interest in the young, lovely China.
So, we're almost at the end here. We've got the main event coming up next, but before, it wouldn't be a WWF special in the UK without a bit of madness before the main event. We've got Tony Chimmel decides to announce our special guest ring announcer.
I liked one of the nice little touches. They call him Sir Anthony.
Sir
Chimmel.
Anthony Chimmel, that's right. So Shane McMahon's the special guest ring announcer, which is all being added here last minute. It was never announced beforehand.
Yeah.
Which is the old Over the Age 98 where they make up the rules as they go along.
Yeah.
So they kind of steal that whole thing and do it again here.
I like when Shane made his entrance. The title card said Shane, and underneath it says son of Mr. McMahon.
I didn't notice that. That's a nice touch. Pat Patterson comes out again. He's going to be the timekeeper. He can't speak, but he can keep time. Gerald Briscoe's going to be the referee.
Briscoe's the ref. I think was the boss man supposed to be the ref?
Bossman was supposed to be the original enforcer
Yeah.
as well. Or no, you're right. It was supposed to be the referee.
He was supposed to be the ref,
Yeah,
and they
and this
changed
is
it.
all switched around. Of course, he gets a referee's a wanker chant because it wouldn't be the UK without that. And making his triumphant return to commentary is Vince McMahon.
Mr. McMahon. What a maneuver.
What a maneuver is back. And he slaps right into it, and I think it's so funny. But as it goes on here, Big Boss Man's made into a special enforcer
Yeah.
just to get a date with Vinnie Jones, and he gets another fat bastard chant. Him and Pat Patterson both got it for the record.
Poor boss man.
Fat shaming was obviously not a thing in 1998, but Vinnie Jones gets a good reaction. Him and Bossman get on it straight away,
Yeah.
and he shoves him to the ground, and then he gets into like the 1930s fighter stance, like he's going to go fisticuffs.
Come on, man.
But Gerald Briscoe turns around, and what does he do?
He red cards him.
Gives him a red card.
Gives him a red.
straight red too.
No
not a booking.
warning, no yellows.
No booking first.
Right, they red.
But-
But you know what? I love that. I loved it in 1998. I love it in 2018.
I'll tell you why I don't like it.
Why?
It's because that's not a rule in wrestling. And Vinnie Jones goes, alright, and he just goes
Well,
and he leaves.
he's a football hooligan. He doesn't know anything else.
But lad, Vinnie, you don't have to go anywhere. Stick around.
Patrick, it's going to be emotional.
But the
Red
best thing,
card, get out. Thought he was going to knock Vince McMahon's head off. Funny gets out of the ring, goes away.
yeah.
No
I'll be
ball.
looking for them later. No, you weren't. You turned tail and went straight away.
He put his coat back on and he left.
So a lot of hoo-ha before the main event. A la Over the Edge, of course, where they replace everyone at ringside with people in the corporation.
Loved it. Stacking the card, stacking the deck against old Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Vince McMahon just reminds us constantly in commentary, that's Stone Cold. That's Stone Cold. The match starts. I love how this Fatal 4-Way starts, Patrick. Again, it's the first time the coin was used. Fatal 4-Way. Mankind, Kane hit the ring. Match starts straight away. two of them have no love lost for each other, and they get straight on it, and I love that. I love how they just get stuck on each other.
The thing I love about this too is that they start off, they don't wait for Undertaker and Austin.
Nope.
Undertaker comes out slowly and joins in.
Yeah.
But they really used to do this and really maximise the pop Austin would get by holding them off until you least expected it, and then boom, the glass smashed and he came out and absolutely rubbed heads.
And now Kane going over the top. Oh, here he comes. My God, listen to this ovation. Are you ready for a fight? They're getting it on.
I loved it. I think did Undertaker meet him halfway up the aisle?
The thing they did, they fought.
He did, yeah.
The vest got chucked and away they went.
Yeah, I love the intensity of the match. Again, I don't want to slate the match. It was nothing to write home about, but it was all just about introducing the characters. Austin was so intense, so over. A great match.
Although the rest of the event has been what you would say, as we've said a few times, house show quality, raw quality at best, you can't deny that this main event still feels massive. Even though nothing major is going to happen, nothing's going to change really in the grand scheme of things, but with all the guys in there, four of the biggest wrestlers of all time, JR on commentary, Vince on commentary, everybody that's at ringside, it just feels big, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's the four biggest stars of 1998's version of the Attitude Era. Put the four of them in the one ring at the one time. And it was such a nice treat for the UK audience.
Yeah, and as we said earlier, Mankind sort of does what he said he wouldn't do and try and team up with everybody as he goes. Austin makes him regret it straight away. And then there's a part where, as Kane and Undertaker are battering Austin, Mankind's behind him taking out Mr. Socko, and it looks like he's going to save Austin, but no, he gets down and starts hitting Austin instead, puts him on the claw on him. But then they make him look stupid because they turn on him as well. So Mick Foley, again, not making any friends. But it's a brawl, really.
It's a brawl,
but it's an entertaining brawl.
It's an entertaining brawl. It's a great way to describe the match. And again, it's a pretty safe match. There's a few times when everyone's choking each other with cables, and there's a couple of chairs I think in the match.
JR Briscoe has been refusing to count for Austin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The whole match, doing slow counts or doing no counts at all, and Austin ends up hitting a big stunner, and this time he loses the plot, takes Briscoe out. Undertaker comes in, chokeslams everybody, but again, he has no referee.
Yeah.
Earl Hebner comes down. Not long after Earl Hebner appears, the stunner comes out, and it's over.
Yeah.
Sort of out of nowhere in the middle, but fatal four-way can happen at any time. JR Briscoe gets something, knocks out Earl Hebner.
Stunner on Kane, is that right?
Stunner on Kane.
Stunner on Kane. I think he hits a stunner on Kane.
I don't have it in my notes, but I'm pretty sure it was Kane. JR Briscoe eats a stunner after the match too, and he sells
it
like a
nasty one too.
He
does like a front flip.
He does. He flips over Austin's shoulder and goes forward,
which I've
never seen before.
Underrated stunner. And you know what? I must say this as well. See, for these UK tours, I think the following year it was the first time Austin had a double stunner.
That's right.
On Shane and Triple H.
Yeah.
And this one on Briscoe. Amazing. You know what? We're going to put this up on our social media. People need to see this stunner. It's so good.
It's like an RVD selling where you never expected what way he was going to take it.
Yeah.
And off it goes.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, yeah! Oh, no! No! Yes! Yes! A stunner! No! Yes! No! Yes! No! A rattlesnake has done it! Yeah!
And here's like the big payoff to the whole Vinnie Jones thing. The big boss man gets in the ring, but Vinnie Jones has made his way back out. He boots him. That's like a straight boot. And he turns around and he gets a stunner.
Vinnie sticks a boot in the boss man's balls. He turns around and Austin hits him.
You would almost expect Vinnie to get under it himself, but he just sets up the stunner, which is what everybody really wanted to see, I think.
Patrick, he's a footballer. All he knows to do is the kick.
He could have slipped.
He can't use his hands. He can't use his hands as a footballer. And the show ends with the beer celebration. Again, might I add, I don't remember Austin drinking beer before this.
Before this?
I could be wrong, but I have no memory of Austin doing a beer bash.
I'm pretty sure he did before, but now you made me doubt myself.
I don't. Well, we'll prove this. I think this is Austin's first beer celebration.
We'll have to look that up as well. What I noticed about this is he's about to leave with Earl Hebner and Vinnie Jones after drinking a few beers.
You know what? It was great. I remember watching it and everyone was like, But the referee's like, oh, he's Stone Cold's wee friend. And Iron Hebner's getting ripped under the beer and stuff.
And Earl says something to Austin that sends him back into the ring to do more posing. But what I noticed about this is, like, even though Austin, technically he's not drinking the beers, he's spilling them everywhere, he's not drinking them, he still looks like the hardest man in the ring. Because Vinnie Jones is sipping his, Earl Hebner's sipping his, Austin's going apeshit, really, with his beers, chucking them everywhere, spilling them everywhere, cheersing them like ridiculously hard. And nobody else ever looked as cool drinking a beer at Stone Cold.
Yeah, and you know what? People just love Austin. We're not breaking any new ground. He's the everyman. He's just, as much as he transcends the people in the States, people here feel the exact same about Stone Cold Steve Austin. And
he's somehow, is he to blame for a whole generation of kids thinking beer is cool?
I think so, probably.
And one thing to note at the end here is that as you get that famous fade out at the end where the WWE logo comes out, JR, having suffered a Bell's palsy attack during the show, is going absolutely crazy. Still doing the Austin still. And the man's not well.
I know.
Stone Cold over Capital Carnage. Oh, what a night it has been! Oh, God! Box office! And he won the fatal four-way here at Capital Carnage. Oh, what a night it has been! Oh, God! Box office! And these fans don't want Austin to leave. They wanted to stay in the ring.
But that's the end of our show. That's the end of Capital Carnage. That's how it goes off the air. Main event. Would you say it saved the show?
Main event. It was all about the main event. I remember the promo packages leading up to Capital Carnage. This Fatal 4-Way was being advertised for about a month before the show came on the air. This was all built up. It was all about the main event. WWE, they did well on this night. They put out a big cast of characters. They said, we're here. Wrestling is different. It's cool. Come join us. And I think this was an important event. And fast forward, how many years? Almost 20 years. And, you know, I think there's something to be said for these. You know, this year alone, there's the big event in Australia coming up. We've had the Greatest Royal Rumble, which emanated from Saudi Arabia. And I think there's something to be said for doing big televised events in these other local markets.
I think it was a decent show for what it was. It was a nice snapshot of that time.
Yeah.
The characters involved, the attitude involved, the Jerry Springer type storylines, and then your main event with four of probably the greatest to ever be in a ring, that just made the whole thing feel massive at the end of a show that probably wasn't massive. So, last thoughts. Do you think we'll ever get another UK WWE pay-per-view?
I hope so. I mean, if they're doing this Greatest Royal Rumble, Saudi Arabia, they're doing this, what's it called, the Super Show in Australia. I mean, I think it's time. I think it's long overdue. I think it's time for a special attraction event.
I don't think we'll ever get WrestleMania like some people want.
No. I don't even think we'll get SummerSlam. I just think...
But we'll get something.
We'll get something.
So there we have it. That's the first episode of Legion of Gloom in the bag. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've made it this far, more power to you. You and 3 other people made it. So maybe we can all get together and discuss it. Share us everywhere you can. We really appreciate it. And we hope you tune in next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.
It's gonna be emotional!